Hey, it's me again, Shannon from On the Ground. Well, been thinking a lot about coyotes today. I may have posted a video earlier. I said I was going to do some more research, and that's what I plan on doing. I just got off work, but I've been thinking about it quite a bit. And in the past, it's been a while ago, I did do some research on coyotes, or, learn things, I ever since I was a kid, I've taken interest in animals, but there could potentially be somewhat of a problem with the coyotes that I didn't really elaborate on too much. It's kind of premature for me to assume it, but I kind of mentioned it before, but I think we may have a kind of situation that may better explain why we see coyotes eating so many deer in a short period of time, much more common, or very, very often. And it brings into remembrance of some accounts that I've been hearing of people and their deer being eaten before they get to them. And they'd say the coyotes got to them, and then among some of them, they questioned, whether we're coyotes or wolves. Now, yes, there are wolves in Wisconsin, and there are coyotes, and they both do eat deer. And but it seems in some situations, maybe wolves are not known to be in that area. So, but coyotes maybe, or at least that's their understanding of what it is coyotes. And it's not that it's not coyotes, but we may be dealing with hybrids. There's quite a bit of information, a clearer picture, if you will. And I want to just kind of touch on that for a moment. And I'm going to do a little bit more research, like I mentioned before. But the thing is, I did come across some articles. I didn't look into them too much about coy wolves. Now, a coy wolf is a coyote and a wolf mix. It's a hybrid. And I mentioned this a little bit in my previous video, but the thing is, this breeding between coyotes and wolves may be an actual reality. It may be occurring more often than a lot of people think, and what I'm kind of leading to is that people are thinking that they're just regular coyotes sometimes, or a lot of the time, but they're these hybrids. That's why they get bigger than regular coyotes. I mean, if you got 70, 80 pound coyotes, and when their average weights are only from 40 to 60, but you're seeing 70 up as high as maybe 90 in some cases, you may be dealing with hybrids. And because, they look a lot like coyotes with a little bit of maybe more towards wolves, I mean, they don't look a great deal different. Only like people who are experts and experienced enough would know the difference. Usually a coyote seems to have a smaller muzzle and stuff. I mean, and their size, but I mean, if you had two pictures that were same size, one was a wolf, one was they were standing broadside or something, so to speak, but you're given the same size picture. The differences wouldn't be maybe to some people much, much more different than the other. But anyways, what I'm trying to say is that the reason we see such aggressive behavior from some of these coyotes, I believe, is because they have wolf genetics, or in their genetics, these coyotes have been bred with wolves, or they bred with coyotes. Wolves are bred with coyotes. But they got wolf in their DNA, and they're behaving more like wolves, and they're going after larger game, which I also mentioned in my previous video. But I'm not trying to entertain this sci-fi type conspiracy or something, but it has known to happen. Wolves and coyotes breeding. They call them a coy wolf. This is an actual thing. It would be kind of premature, but I do think that that may be the problem. I don't know if anybody's been in recent years has been researching any of this and done any studies to, do any kind of field testing and taking samples and to evaluate and see whether or not they're actually breeding between one another. That could be occurring, and you're getting hybrids. So you're getting more aggressive coyotes, a little bit bigger coyotes, and coyotes that may pursue, becoming more of pack animals like wolves, and then establishing a pack order. I don't know. I need to look more into it, but it's happened before. There's occasions, I think, closer to Maine and stuff on the east side, the river or the lakes. Michigan's that way, but so east is that way. But where red wolves were mixing with coyotes, now we're getting the hybrids, the coy wolf. But see, that tends to happen, at least when wolf populations get low, and somewhere in there, however it comes about, they pursue breeding, and they breed with most compatible animal in nature, I guess, would be a coyote. I mean, this happens in other animals, and produces another animal. This happens with domestic animals. You take a horse and you take a donkey and you get a mule. And you have wolf dogs, But some animals are compatible enough with one another that they can produce a hybrid. you know. But so that may be what we're seeing, and but I have to look further into it. It may take me some time. I didn't really want to get off into making these videos so much about coyotes. You know, I hunt deer, like I mentioned, but um, we may have to deal with coyotes. I'm just too aware of a lot of situations where this has been a problem. And it kind of intrudes on one's enjoyment of the outdoors and scouting and deer hunting, and you know, without that interruption of coyotes, because uh, they're kind of I call them a problem and a pest, but I don't know if that's the word I'm looking for. They're they're problematic. Some places coyotes are so problematic, they go right into neighborhoods and suburbs, and but but that's just an expansion of coyotes, you know, that are not, you know, so much hybrids, you know, more closely uh, like in behavior wolves are. Wolves, I want to go over that later too. I gotta show you some videos and show you some things about how wolves uh, uh, how they strategically uh, position themselves in attack positions uh, when going into a kill or going into attack or maybe just going in to investigate. They're pack animals. They coordinate. They strategize. They're smart creatures. Um, for you know, in the wild animals. But they're vicious animals too. They are not a domesticated dog. Okay, but they can be domesticated. Any animal pretty much can be domesticated to an extent, but uh, you need to pretty much domesticate them as a pup, a wolf pup, to make it domestic. But as far as they are in their natural habitat, no. Wolves, like I mentioned, are an apex predator in their environment. They will kill and attack, and you know, any threat to them in their natural environment. I mean, yes, they run into cougars and bear, but if there's enough of them, they oftentimes have the upper hand. Now, cougar can take on quite a few wolves, but if the pack gets close to around 12 wolves, that's too many for a cougar. But if it's like a pack of 5, they can handle a pack of 5. Especially like three or 4 of them, they can handle them. But once it starts getting closer to like a pack of 12, which is a pretty good sized pack of wolves, that's a pretty good lot. And chances are even a large cougar is going to run away from them, you know. I mean, it's survival. He could probably kill several of them, but that's 12 wolves would be a lot. Bear's different. Bear can hold its own against some wolves too, but they're not really as much of a predator as either a wolf or a cougar. But yeah, See, initially it was just I was concerned that they was gonna eat my deer because I seen it so much. But seeing some of their behavior and having observed animals for years and years and watching documentaries for years and years and just having experience in the field too, thinking we might have an issue with these hybrid coyotes. But, you know, I think that may be why people are having such big issues with them, is because they're more aggressive than typical coyotes. But I have to look more into it. I got other stuff I need to do. I'm going to be having some unboxings and some reviews coming up on the channel. But yeah, we need to deal with this coyote issue and see what the problem is. See what we're gonna have to deal with, and we gotta find an effective solution to eliminate this threat or this problem. If they are in fact hybrids, because if they're hybrids, then they're not your typical coyotes. They're a mixture of between a wolf and a coyote, which is kind of a subtle way of being more dangerous than they initially seem to be. Because people just, oh, they're just coyotes, but it's more like a wolf than a coyote. If someone says, oh, it's just a pack of wolves, that's just some wolves, you know, some people would freak out. If you say, oh, it's just some coyotes, you know, but these might be hybrids. And they may not be in every place in Wisconsin. It's a pretty big state and there's a lot of wilderness areas. So I have to kind of narrow that down, you know, but there has been cougars spotted in Buffalo County. And there's other animals out there, and I know there's coyotes, but I'm gonna have to look a little more into it, kind of narrow down the situation. But yeah, I'm gonna figure out what strategies and the tactics to approach it with if we have to do that. You know, I'd rather focus on just hunting deer, but I'm already well aware of the coyote issue. Now, if it's hybrids, that just makes it something that makes it more is more necessary to address it. God knows. But that happens in the wild sometimes. For, you know, coyotes and wolves and other animals. They breed between one another and they develop and produce hybrids. Trying to determine whether the coyote is the female and the wolf is the male, or if the male is the coyote and the female is the wolf. Or if this happened somewhere and they got the hybrid, and then the hybrid just continue to mate and breed with coyotes. You know, it may not be 50% wolf and 50% coyote. It just may be in there somewhere. Some, I don't know. Then I've considered that maybe there's wolves in areas people think it's just coyotes. You know, but I need to look more into it. Coyotes are known to breed and populate quickly. There are a lot of places that suggest that, and that's not just in Wisconsin. That's in a lot of places. Like I mentioned before, you remove an apex predator like the wolf that controls the coyote population, and you have this whatever's driving the breeding between coyotes and wolves to create hybrids, And I figure it's just the disruption in the ecosystem are creating this imbalance. I mean, maybe the wolf numbers in Wisconsin, for example, aren't high enough to bring down the coyote population to where you wouldn't have them breeding, because there would be plenty of other wolves for them to breed with. When you have outrageous number of coyotes and small percentage of wolves, somewhere in there, maybe that's what contributes to them breeding. So you get hybrids. Of course, the wolves were quite successful in Yellowstone. I looked a little in that, and I seen some of that a while back. The wolves were successful in Yellowstone, and they killed off and drove out a lot of the coyotes. And I mean, there was one pack of wolves. I forgot what the name of it was called. They had, at one point, they had over 50 or over 40 wolves in that pack. That's a big pack of wolves. But it's like a super pack. But 12 wolves is a good sized pack of wolves. 5 is a pack. 12 is a large pack. And 20 is just like a super pack. And 40, that's a big pack of wolves. But that was in Yellowstone. But I'm gonna have to look more into it. I'm not worried about it. I just, I know they're in the area. I know they're in Buffalo County. I don't believe they have any wolves there. Not too many of them. But we'll have to look into that and see what's going on. It could be coming from Minnesota. It's very close to Tiffany Bottoms. So we'll have to look and see what's going on there. I'm tired. I got stuff to do. I go to bed. But this is another video for On the Ground. So I have a talk with you guys later, and I'll let you know what I found out, and I'll let you know what I found out, and we'll see what we can do about the situation. We'll solve this problem. We'll deal with this. And we can make videos about hunting deer and other stuff. But we'll deal with coyotes. Alright, that's just the conclusion of this episode of On the Ground.